Hey, we're back with episode 2. In this, we're just going to try and get some easy money and science so we can get the small solar panel unlocked. And this probe is very nice to have too. And that battery as well. So I think we'll start with just a probe and some basic science. This is going to be spin controlled. So let's get some science on here. Just that and that. Nothing else is really worth the weight or parts. We want to just mostly we'll get some very easy science from the world's firsts. So let's put an engine on there. We also need hopefully 4 batteries. And then we need I'm going to try and do just one. And that's a little trick you can do. I don't know if you saw what I did there. It's kind of hard to get it just right, but if you have it on like 2 times symmetry, you can see that it's not centered, right? Oh. But if you make it so you can really only see one, just like that, should be pretty close to center there. Now a decoupler, and then I'm thinking maybe just those guys. And I want to turn the thrust limiter down, and then how many? We're probably okay. We upgraded the pad, so we'll be great with weight. 2 of those. What I should do, since I already turned that down, then we want actually probably just that there, and then we'll do the 2 first. We have plenty of parts left. And we don't want our thrust to weight to be too high. With this one, you might need to do a few attempts. Thinking just 3. Those are maybe a little too big. So maybe we'll go 4 of these guys. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to move them 1 click. And we might have to come back and adjust that. Make it less or more, because sometimes it'll like kind of fall apart. These aerodynamic nose cones will make a huge difference. And since we have room, let's just check that. Oh yeah, that's good. I think we might throw a couple more batteries on here. And then we'll kind of just move these up. Flip them over. We want the snap on. That's C. And then you can press F to change how you're offsetting parts, like that. I think 6 batteries will be enough, though. Because we're probably not going to get like a ton of science from this. But we'll definitely make more than 8,000 if it's successful. So, let's just try this. See how it goes. Might not go well, but that's Kerbal Space Program. Sometimes you need to fiddle with things to make them work. And honestly, that's like the best part of the game, is when you have a goal, you fail at it a bunch of times, and then when you finally get it, it's like gratifying and rewarding. So this has no SAS. That's why we are going to spin it to kind of compensate for any wobble. That's maybe too low. Yeah, so let's go back in. Turn the thrust limiter up on those. Maybe even a decent amount there. I think so. Let's see. 2.17, that I don't think that's going to be crazy. And maybe we'll even turn that up. We just don't want it to like go too fast. There's a chance that the probe core will burn up if you go too fast, too low. And we're just going straight up. One thing we could do, but we aren't going to do because we're about to try and go to the moon anyway. But if you're like over here, like if you put the moon right there and like you're right there and you launch straight up, there's a good chance you'll encounter the moon. So let's get this on the road. That's a little better. We aren't spinning as much as I would like. But sometimes if you spin too fast, it'll kind of go out of control. See how it's not perfect on that circle? The closer you can be to that dot in the center, the more straight up you're going, and that'll be the most efficient. But yeah, I think we might have to adjust those to make it spin faster, but we'll see. It's not going terrible though. One thing I really should have done is select these before we launched. Because if you're spinning really fast, it's really hard to select them. Come on. There we go. See how we're not going perfectly straight up. That's okay though. As long as the upper stage doesn't lose control, which it could, but I think we're probably spinning fast enough that it won't. Yeah, I think we'll be good. I don't think we can get any from here, no. But now that we are in space, we do want to extend our antenna. should have plenty to leave Kerbin for good and never come back. It's kind of a cheesy way to do it, but you should make a little bit of money from doing this and hopefully get a little bit of science. Whoa, we're zoomed way out there. It's going quite well, actually, better than I expected. We still have 4,000 meters a second of delta V left, so we'll be going way out there. And then let's see. That's where the sun is. So we're essentially going to be killing velocity, so we're going to probably end up near Moho. So basically, Kerbin is orbiting this way, right? So now you're just killing your velocity, like this is like burning prograde, or retrograde at your apoapsis, right? And that will bring in, like, make your periapsis come in closer to the object you're orbiting. You're killing velocity. I think 250. Yeah. So we can transmit that. A little bit of science, not too much, but we almost have enough now for the solar panels. And we got a world's first milestone for a speed record. We should get a couple more here. That's us leaving when the camera does that. See how that periapsis is just coming right in? We'd be slightly more efficient if we were going like more parallel to our orbit line. To our orbital path, I guess is a better way to say it. See how we're coming in towards Moho? What we can even do is just... we could get lucky and get a encounter. We aren't going to, but... because we'll be right there when Moho's right there. But this thing is damn near gonna enter the sun. And if we can get that down to there, there's a good chance that at some point this will... you could just sit in time warp. We probably aren't close enough just because Moho's super small. We might get an encounter there. But maybe I don't want to do that because then I'll get a bunch of more money and science that you guys won't unless you get lucky. But there is a chance that once we exit, I don't think we'll have enough electric power because we're already like maybe not quite a quarter, but probably 1/6. But we can warp here. Yeah. See how fast that's draining? We're going to be out of power soon. So maybe I should have grabbed a couple more batteries. But once we exit, yep, we're out of power. Just at the end. But we would need more to transmit anyway. So let's just keep time warping there. And we got another world's first milestone. So we got like, I can't remember, 20,000 or whatever for breaking the speed record. And then another 26,000 for escaping the gravitational influence of Kerbin. and 3 science. And then for initiating a flyby of the sun, 38,000 and 2 science. And then just being in orbit of the sun, 36,000 science, 36,000 Kerbucks and 2 science. And some decent reputation, which those give you better contracts. So super easy money right there. And a little bit of science. So now we only need 10 science to get the solar panels. Yeah, we don't need to save that. We'll never use it again. But what we are going to do is just a little hopper. We might launch this a couple times. We'll put a parachute on it. We don't need a decoupler. Just a small fuel tank. Maybe that, just to be sure. And then I like using the swivel for this. We'll put the basic fins. Move them down like a dart, right? We really don't need a antenna. A couple batteries aren't a bad idea. Really, probably not necessary. But we'll throw 2 of those on there just so the weight's even. And then with these, because the barometer and thermometer, they weigh exactly the same. That should be good. Part of me wants to send a scientist, but I don't think we're going to do that. Just because then we can reset that, but we aren't going to be able to reset that anyway, so we'll just call this hopper or something. We'll put that out on the pad. And what we're going to do, we are just going to go probably just to the crawler way for this first one. So we just want a little bit of thrust. Oh, and we messed up already. We forgot to check our staging, but that's okay because we're just going. Oh, nope. We gotta. Let's do that again. Let's fix the staging. It's like a quarter thrust. You don't want to go too far, but you can probably pop the parachute now. And then you don't want to use up all your fuel because the engine might break off. So we want to slow it down to like less than 5 meters a second probably. That's good. Now we can get science. Each one of the sections of KSC, the Kerbal Space Center, is its own biome. So you can get science from each of them. The easiest way to do this is a little later when you unlock rover wheels. You can make a little rover with all the science parts on it and take a scientist. And you can get all the science. We got that right? Yeah. Crew report. and we can do an EVA. And there's all the science we can get. Not all the science. We could run that again and those again, but this should get us enough to get to the moon. But if you need a little extra science for, like, if you need 10 or so science, you can just try and hit one of the other buildings. Yeah, we'll have 10 left over. So we got 21 science from that. Super easy. And now we can unlock solar panels. Easy peasy. Now we can go to the moon. We probably aren't going to take the Science Junior or Mystery Goo. We want thermal. You want a heat shield for sure. And a parachute, of course. There will be several times where you forget parachutes. And you'll get into orbit. And you'll mess up your burn and go back to you'll do a quick save and a quick load, and then you can't revert, and you'll have to rescue your Kerbal in orbit. That will happen, almost guaranteed. And then we need a decoupler. And then I don't know if we'll be able to get away with that, but okay, that's pretty decent thrust to weight, actually. And you know what? We're going to throw an inline reaction wheel just to give us a little more control once we get up there. And let's throw a battery on there, too. Just one of those. That should be enough. Then I think we'll just put maybe just 3 to save on parts, because it's going to be tight with parts. Getting to the moon with 30 parts it can be quite challenging. And then I think we're going to put 2 of these. Even though we're tight on parts, I want it to be symmetrical. So the center of weight is actually in the center. Just flies a little better. And then you want to put your science on the capsule because it's going to be returning. Just one of each. Where if you put the science down here, you go to the moon and come back, you're not going to get the science back because you aren't going to recover this part. This part will probably burn up in the atmosphere. Sometimes you get lucky and it actually survives somehow, but I would not count on it. And we'll grab that. I think we'll just throw that tank away. Oh, that works too. $19, $20. And then for this, we want the extra thrust to weight of the Reliant. It's 21. And what's our thrust to weight? 1.7, 1.45. Then we're just going to do 3 basic fins. And then we need at least 4 parts left. Yeah, that's good. Because that's probably not going to be enough. So this first stage it probably won't even get us all the way out of the atmosphere. Our second stage has 3,300 delta V, which is great. But we're just going to go as much as we can. So we're going to throw on the thumper. And we have just enough parts left over. You don't have to do this, but I like to do it. Where you slide. Let me scoot back so I can see. Slide those down so they're kind of, the engines are level with each other. You have just enough left where we can throw those on. And those are probably going to be wobbling around a decent amount, but... And we'll see if this gets us to the moon. We'll just make it attempt. Moon attempt 1. Then we'll probably send Jeb, since Val's already been to orbit. Let's explore the moon, which fly by the moon, gather scientific data, and return to Kerbin from a flyby of the moon, which gives us a decent chunk of money there, and some science. Make sure Jeb's in the pilot seat. Yep. Save and let's launch. Yep, let's go for it. We're just going to go straight up with this first stage, and then we'll start turning over once we light that. But just start turning over slowly, because you can easily flip out of control. This doesn't have a ton of like attitude control. Looking good so far. It's not as wobbly as I was thinking. Just slowly start tipping over to 45 degrees. See, we really don't have much authority, but if we need to throttle down a little. It'll turn over a little faster. You won't get your apoapsis so high. We're about 50 kilometers, so we're going to go a little drastic here. And then crank it back up. Now that it's at 65, we can just go completely sideways almost. Yeah, we can probably go sideways. Because now we're basically, our apoapsis is outside of the atmosphere. And our time to apoapsis is 1:20. That should be plenty. Oh. I should have checked my staging. We don't want to pop our parachute right as we do that. So, I'm glad I saw that. Time to stage that. And one thing you can do is you can get your apoapsis up kind of higher, like maybe 90, 85. And your time to apoapsis like 1:30, and you can make a maneuver node. But I don't feel like it's super necessary. It just, if you want to do it, do it. Kind of play how you want to. If you don't have MechJeb or good orbital information, then it's probably a good idea to do that. But I do highly recommend MechJeb for the orbit info. It's awesome. Oh, we kind of let it get away from us while I was talking, so we'll just do it anyway. Oh, you know what? We'll get into orbit first, just because you might not get as lucky as me and be in like the perfect spot to. Because we could have, because the moon's just over the horizon, we could have just kept burning. So this is going to take me 20 seconds to burn. So we want to maybe warp. Yeah, there. That's probably good. And we're right at 20 seconds, which I think is good. I usually burn a little early because about halfway I start slowing down a little. And then just keep decreasing your thrust. You should be a little more accurate. And we should be good there. 85 by 92. That is more than enough. And then you can do this easily without a node. But one way to kind of tell when to burn with the moon is you can either warp until it just starts to appear over the horizon. Like I would do it probably earlier than where we are in the orbit now. Like as soon as I see it come over the horizon, you can just start burning. It's about 900 meters a second. And we have plenty. I think for this, we aren't even going to orbit it. We'll just, because I'll show you a free return trajectory. But how to make the node is you want the moon like directly to the right. And then just right there. And then if you click here and go to focus view, you can actually see what it's doing. And right there, we're smacking straight into the moon. You know what? Maybe we will orbit it, because now that I'm thinking about it, we want the low science. 68. I'll get a little closer than that. Nope, other way. Maybe about 40 kilometers. That should be good. 853. Then you can click back on Earth so it's a little easier to do that. And we'll do a quick save. One thing we are going to do is extend our antennas. And then also keep an eye on your electric charge, especially when you're time warping to the moon. You need to have a solar panel facing the sun so your batteries are recharging. So we have 250 electric charge. It's probably not enough to... It might be enough to get out to the moon, but more than once I have just not even thought about the solar panels and then time warped too far, and all of a sudden there's no power and you're kind of stuck there, which is not good. So we'll do a quick save and then time warp to the maneuver. We probably want to go forward a little. We want to start burning at about maybe 45 seconds. So I'll just time warp a little slowly. 45 seconds, we're good. And I'm right on the blue marker. You can just go prograde. And if you have your pilot that you got to orbit with, you can just click the prograde button right here. And you'll just stay locked onto that, which is super nice. Then once it gets out, like maybe like right there, I like to focus on the moon and decrease my throttle once it starts getting very eccentric, basically. Just because it will get away from you real fast to where you're leaving. We do not want to leave forever. We like having Jeb in our space program, and now that it's real close, I just turn it almost all the way down. And then you can kind of watch as it goes in. Now I'm almost at nothing, but there we go. And I just slam X as soon as I'm close to there. 32, that's pretty darn close, but we'll be fine. And then we'll make a maneuver here. Now, this green line is if we exit, we're going to follow this purple path, right? And then come around and encounter it again. And that almost gives us a perfect return for free. But we have so much delta V, we aren't even going to worry about that. We'll get into orbit and I'll show you how to burn the maneuver node, or make the maneuver node to get home. It's fairly simple. But like the last one where we sent this guy almost along our path, but backwards, right? In the retrograde. And it brought our periapsis in. It's the same concept. So you'll want to be exiting the moon that way. The way the moon just came from, basically. So if you follow that line, it will bring your periapsis in. So we'll make a maneuver. Get into a nice circular orbit. And again, if you're right on your periapsis, your maneuver, it's much easier. So we're just going to keep this going until we start seeing them move to the side. And there we go. That's good. 32 by 32. And then again, we want to move this so a solar panel is facing the sun. And one thing we can do is we'll just warp forward a little to 250. Oh, that's right. We can't get out yet. Never mind, we aren't going to do that. I should have brought 2 of each, but I guess we can't. So we'll probably just end up getting the low lunar science, which is fine. You get more. We can't even do a crew report twice. That's okay. We'll have to come back, which we will for a landing. We could also send a probe out and return that. I guess we would want to send a Kerbal. Why not? This is Kerbal Space Program, not Probe Space Program. Yeah, I'm just going to warp. So I just clicked right there where we're like entering the moon's sphere of influence. And there we go. One thing we can do though, so we'll get 11 instead of the 16. You kind of just want to keep an eye on your electric charge. We should have plenty, but it's easy to run out. And I guess crew report, we get the whole thing, so I was wrong earlier. We still have almost half of our electric charge, so we did good. And then I am going to maybe we'll just warp to there. And I'm doing that because I want to line up with this blue target marker. So we're in a good place to... Now we're not getting electric charge, but we're basically fully charged. So, oh, we still are getting a little. But we'll do a quick save. Then we'll just warp to the maneuver. And depending on how much money we have, let's see, how much money do we have? Okay, so not even close to enough. I was hoping we had more so we could get the R&D upgraded and the astronaut complex, because then we could do an EVA, but looks like we're not going to. We will get a decent chunk from this mission. Did it not accept? Let's... Huh. That's concerning. Did I not accept it? So we can probably start burning now. We'll just turn it down slow. Because now we're in orbit. I guess not quite. We weren't, but now we are. We'll just go nice and slow. You don't need to burn your maneuvers super fast. So I like to start a little early. We could maybe go a little faster than that, but... I'm going to keep my periapsis there so I know when I see it start to go down a lot. Yeah, that's good. $24,000. All right, we are going to go back to Kerbin real fast. I guess we can get the science so we don't forget. Oh, let's just transmit that. Might as well. So orient it so we're getting power back. So can almost get... I can get it, but barely. We've got the moon, the sun, and Kerbin in one thing. So we're going to go back to the Space Center to make sure I actually got that contract. I swear I did. But sometimes I forget. And I do the whole mission, and then I'm like, why didn't that complete? Oh, okay, we must have just completed it already. Well, we can accept this, although we aren't going to be able to transfer any crew between vessels for a little bit, but that's okay. It's like I don't even... That is super weird. It's like I never even got that contract. Huh. We'll go here and just fly this. All right, I think we have all of our science, right? I swear to God, I just got science, right? That is odd. Okay, maybe I just got the crew report, I guess. Yeah, we don't have even close to enough to get the R&D. So, to burn to get back, I kind of just click over here somewhere. You don't have to be precise yet. But then as soon as you start leaving, I move it like that. And then you can grab that. We're going to have to move it again. Just keep moving it and adding prograde. I usually come in at about 45 kilometers. 43, that's great. So just like that. We'll do a quick orbit there. And we'll do a quick save, of course. Communication blackout, just like in the Artemis mission. You can either go right on prograde or on that marker. Doesn't really matter all that much. We have 1,200 meters a second. So I almost want to like send this to Minmus and maybe do a landing, but I guess we could land and pull the science out. Get more science. Alright, that's probably good. We'll just go to like half throttle. And I like to select the Kerbin as your focus. Kind of zoom out and watch it until it leaves. And now I really like to go slow. You don't want to come in too deep, and you don't want to be too high in the atmosphere. That should be good. 42, that's great. Then I usually warp to there. And then just manually warp until I'm out. And then be careful when you're coming back in, because there is kind of a bug where if I sometimes I'll make a maneuver that's blank, right? And then you can just click that and you warp right there. It's just super fast. Sometimes if you click right there and you I guess I can't. Okay, right there. If I just warp there, Sometimes it goes past that for whatever reason when you're returning, and all of a sudden you're in the atmosphere and you're sideways, and it's not good because you want the heat shield down. So we want to stay where our solar panels are getting sunlight, and then quick save, and we'll just warp to that maneuver. Perfect. And I just exit. And then at this point, I think I mentioned this in the first episode, but I like to go like a little normal or anti-normal, but then be kind of pointing it up. I guess, yeah. Which way are we going? That way. Yeah, I'm just on the wrong. Like that, and then just a little normal or anti-normal. And then we'll come in faster than that, so that's behind us. And holy crap, that is a lot of power in that reaction wheel. Then you don't have to, it doesn't matter. It's not like you're going to use them after this. But I like to retract my antennas. Like, if you are headed to Duna and you enter the atmosphere with your antennas out, it's not a good time. So let's just time warp forward a little, and we'll have to move because we're going to stay in this orientation, but our retrograde marker is going to move away from us a little. And about 80, I like to get back on it. And there we have it. I just time warp a little through the upper atmosphere until I start to see a re-entry effects, like right there. And then I kind of leave it alone. Now I'll usually turn SAS off, just so it... You can make sure it's stable. If it's unstable, use the SAS. But the heat shield is doing its job. As you can see, it's ablating away. We can go inside and look out the window. There is a great particle re-entry effects. I think that's what it's called. But it's one of my favorite mods in the entire game. Makes this part so cool. But don't feel like you need to download mods. It's hard for me really not to recommend MechJeb. I just like having all the information. The atmosphere is bringing us out of orbit. Oh, we're going to come down in darkness. That's okay, though. Oh, did I not come in? Nope. I didn't come in steep enough. I think I'm too used to JNSQ. It's still coming down, but that's okay. We'll just do another lap. Because now we're headed back up. It's better to be cautious. And if you don't have like life support mods or anything, then it's really not a big deal to make another pass. Should have plenty of a blader left, so. Oh, and there's a storm. That was cool. We'll just time warp till we're out of the atmosphere. So, note that I would come in maybe 35, 32, maybe 30. I don't know if I would come in much steeper than that. But it has been so long since I played stock. So sorry about that. I maybe should have done my research. I play usually the JNSQ. It's like a scaled up planets and moons. It's kind of in between this and RP1, a pack of like realism mods. Oh, our SAS is off. So we'll just time warp. And we're for sure coming home this time. We're going much slower, so it's taking longer for the re-entry effects to appear. But I kind of don't like to time warp when there's plasma around. Time warping, things can go bad. Also, maybe I would have put the... Maybe it would be a good idea, just in case you come in, like, not shallow enough, to have, like, two solar panels on here at least. And there we go. We're not in orbit anymore. I guess we technically are, but the game thinks we're not. That's why that camera moves like that. Hey, at least we might make it down. Yeah. We'll actually be in daylight this time. Let's just pretend that's why I didn't come in shallow enough. I would rather come in a little high than too low, where you either burn up or you hit the ground before you slow down enough that your parachutes can open. And it looks like we're going to be safe here. Just getting a double check. We aren't going to be over any mountains or anything, it doesn't look like. No. That looks like the ocean, but we'll see. We can pop our parachute, but we really don't need to. We're kind of high up still. Sounds like there's a storm below us. I usually pop them at like 5,000 meters. Yeah, that's close enough. We'll just let this guy come down. Pretty easy. Parachutes should deploy soon. Or open. There we go. We did it. First moon mission. We come down into a storm. I like that. Alright, we'll just double check if we can get science here. Nope. Shouldn't have anything, right? Nope. Yep, I'm pretty sure we don't have any of the other stuff. So, we'll recover that. $76 science, so we have 153 total. Plus we got, I think, a bunch from the firsts and the contract. And a decent amount, 75, and then 451. We barely have enough to get that, but we aren't going to do that yet. We may end up getting that first, but I think, because we'll need landing maybe next, or we could get, I don't think we should get this quite yet. We kind of want the fuel tanks first, so maybe we'll get that right now. I think so, because the fuel tanks will be huge. Bigger fuel tanks means less parts. Let's just look at what else is available. Those would be kind of nice, just because then you can go around and get all the science from KSC. But this is also, I really like having this for the struts. But with only 30 parts, it's kind of hard to justify it, because it's usually 2 parts minimum that you're adding to keep it kind of stable. But I think we're going to call it there, and then maybe on the next one, I can show you how to get some very easy science to unlock the landing legs. And then I do really want to do the surface sample before we do a landing. So maybe, yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to do next. But we could just land without landing legs. I don't think that's a bad idea. But once we get this upgraded, then we can start getting these things unlocked. Like better solar panels, bigger batteries, tons of good stuff, bigger capsules, and way better engines up here. Like the mainsail is incredible. And that really would be nice if we if we had it before the 30 parts, but I don't think money's going to be that big of an issue. Maybe it's time we start doing some of these other missions, like science data from space around the moon. Super easy. That'll pay for it. I think that might be the only one we really want to do. And just an explanation on some of these. These are really fun if you want to build planes and do that. Because here you have to take a temperature scan at a surface at a place so you can fly your plane, land, take off, land at this site, get the science from the temperature. Same with this site. And some of them pay pretty decent. That one's pretty good. But ones like these, usually the first 2 or 3 are pretty close to KSC. So it's like maybe a 10-minute flight. And then after you do 2 or 3 of them, sometimes they're like halfway around the planet. Or I don't think they're giving us... Oh, there's one. Like this early jet engine, that's 1,600 meters. Or 16,000 meters. But this jet engine will not get you that high. So you would need to, like, maybe put some, like a small rocket on the plane to get up to that. Which, it's not super easy to build a plane and then stick a rocket on there and then have it be stable with a full fuel tank and an empty fuel tank. Because your center of mass is going to move a lot. And then all of a sudden it becomes unstable and you can't land it and you kill a Kerbal, so you revert flight. Or you just live with killing a Kerbal, you monster. No, I'm just kidding. It will happen. It's kind of the fun of the game, though. Oh, God, we killed Jeb again. All right, though, yeah. I will try and prepare a little better for next one and plan out what we're going to do. Because we could just go and land on Minmus. We would get a bunch of science and a bunch of money. If we did that, we could probably land, actually, and then we could get that and that, probably. Probably. Just from the world's firsts, like, that's an easy 50,000 science right there. On top of the missions that we completed. Yeah, you guys have a good one. I'll see you in the next one.